I want to show you how effectively you can use your acrylic paints and the template to work even over some darker backgrounds. This page was done on the Creative palette, and I even did some really wild patterns on both sides, and by folding it in the middle, that'll kind of tell me the size of my page that I want to work on. So let's use this part of the template. You can see I've got lots of paint on it already, but we'll go step by step and you'll see how it all comes together. I'm going to apply a bunch of my acrylic paints to the Creative palette and use this as my blending palette. So I'm using some Americana paints from Deco Art, flesh tone, a bit of white, and a bit of the petal pink. And let's say we want a little something, a little bit of something darker. We'll go ahead and get some brown on the palette as well. Okay, and I'm simply using my little ink blusher sponges, and I'm going to start with this outside part of the template. Okay, I'm going to start with my flesh tone and just begin filling in all the way around. I don't mind the slightly translucent look of the paint on the background, but let's say, and you could do nothing more than that and it would work, but push yourself to try a little bit more. And let's add a little bit of the pink on the sponge now. I'm not cleaning the sponge or anything, but now let's get some of the pink in here where we would imagine, you can see this would be at the lower part of the ear. So let's just put a bit of pink paint in here. And maybe we add a little bit more, another layer of the beige, and when it's all wet on wet, it's all just mixing and blending together. Okay, and then one other little tip, if you want to use the mask portion of your template, I like to leave the neck connected to the head, but I can flip this piece up or down. So I'm going to put this on top to cover the face, and I'm going to blend some of the flesh with a little bit of the darker brown color, and I'm just going to darken a little bit down here below the chin. Okay, so there you can see a little bit better. Using both the template and the mask will allow me to add a little bit darker area for the chin. Okay, so now these pieces will come away and you can set them aside, and I'm going to skip to another one here where the paint has had time to dry. Okay, so now let's take our black ink, and as long as the paint is dry, the ink works quite nicely. And I'm going to ink my stamp. I've got it on the jumbo handle. So be sure you ink all the way across all of the lines. And let's say you get some ink down into the large areas of the cheek. I think you'll find it's helpful to take a little bit of a wet wipe and clean that out. It shouldn't matter unless you press extra hard, and then you might have that little line showing. So cleaning it away is the safe thing. Okay, so now turn the stamp over. And I think the ears are the best way to line it up. So take a look from left to right and go ahead and stamp. Okay, so sometimes you get that tight of a lineup. Other times, even if you don't, keep going forward, because in many cases the hair and other things are going to cover it up before you need to worry about it, and I'll show you some other tips for that. But now you can see, we'll let that ink dry, but then we can begin to, let's say on this one, come in with my color pencils and be sure it's nice and dry before you get your white next to that black ink. But you can now have some fun giving her all different colors of eyes. And the white is really going to pop. Do the little highlight as well. And now the same techniques that perhaps you saw in the other video in using your color pencils, this is a nice easy way that you can come back in and enhance some more of the face patterning. But even if you keep it simple, it's going to be really fun. So let's take a look at a couple others that are in progress here. And here's another one where I've finished a little bit more coloring on the face. So now, let's say we want to add some hair. One of the easiest ways to do that would be simply to use our color pencils. And so this will give us one look that, let's say we want to add some bangs. We can just begin coloring in, and again, make the strokes of your color pencil follow the length of the bangs. Okay. And let's see, maybe we'll just do a short hairdo here. But start small and then go bigger. You can decide how much height you want to give to the hair. So develop your darker colors first and then come back in with some highlights. We all need a few highlights to just give dimension to things, and a little bit of different shades of color will add a lot of interest as well. Okay, so now on this side, let's go for it here with using our paint and our little sponge. So I've got some brown, and let's add a couple other colors as well. The paint goes quite a long ways, but you need to get a bit of it to blend together. I've got a little bit of black. So let's start with the tip here and maybe get a little bit of brown mixed in with the black. And this is the hardest part, the first stroke here. So begin painting it in a little bit. And you can see, as simple as that, that it begins to give a very nice, fun look. And let's see, let's say from here, we decide to give her a little ponytail. Let's have some hair flying up here. Okay, so even with that, let's say now you come back in with your color pencils. You can do some finessing of the edges just a little bit, just to finish the whole look of it. Maybe give her a few little wispy hairs here. To finish it off. So there are some very quick, fun ways to develop some simple hairdos and create a very fun scrapbook or little journal page here. Let's take a look at some more of these pages that I'm going to be using for a journal. You can see where flowers can be a really fun element and might even cover up a part of the hair you didn't like, so you can have some fun with that. And here's one where I did all kinds of other stamping and things to finish it off on the edges of the page. And you can see I tried to really darken this side of the face, and the color pencils were a nice way to come back in and work on some of that. And here was another one where we had all our little cutouts of butterflies. And again, you can decide, hey, the hair can come down and solve the problem of that eye. And so let's take a look at this one. Now this one I was able to do just with my little sponge. But over here, you can see where we have a face line that isn't quite lined up. So if I were coming back in, I could paint into that to cover it up. But I also wanted to show you another option. If you have your beauty magazines and you can simply cut away the face, you get a lot of interesting hair that, if it's large enough, looks really fun. So let's just take a look and see what different illusions we create with different hair. And isn't that wild? And even how far down or how much of the forehead shows, you can see. And then we'll glue that and trim the edges away on the outside. Let's try another one. So sometimes this one, the angles are all off. So I might cut this into pieces and then reposition that a little bit. And let's see, there's one more that's kind of fun. So anyway, that's another option for hair that I want you to see. This was another really interesting thing. I simply painted over the eyes with my beige colors, and where some of the ink actually kind of smeared, kind of gave me the darker part up there, and then I colored lighter again in there. And now we have this interesting illusion where her eyes are closed, and your color pencils again, get it nice and sharp and come in and add some little eyelashes if you like. But she's very serene there. And again, the hair is kind of see-through but very fun with all the patterns in the background. This one I did a little braid. And this one's going to be a mermaid. So I'm working on lots of variations. Here I did an entire scrapbook page with multiple faces all coming in and out, and it looks like international friendships here for sure, because I've done quite a variety of different things. And here's one, and here's another one. And I think it's quite fun how the Blossom Beauty will give you the look of international friends from around the world. I'll mention as well that we have this as a free download. If you'd like to go to our website, you can print out this sheet, which will give you lots of interesting visuals and ideas. And you can see how on some of these you could do some sponging and create some really fun wavy hair. So anyway, lots of ideas for you to create some very fun hairstyles for your Blossom Beauty.